talking about? What you saying? Ain't I human? Ain't I man? The same as you, who you think you playing? You think I ain't got a clue of brain? First you use me as a tool of slaves, then you move me to secluded lands. The ghetto left me to be ruled by clans. I got the nooses loops around my head.
Hi.
Hi.
How the fuck are you?
I'm good. Today has been a busy, good day.
Where the hell do you live? Oh, you live in Texas.
Yes.
Right. That's so weird you live in Texas. Okay.
Tell me about it.
Let me just at least start by having you tell me your name. I don't know, your boob size. Just kidding. I promised my sister it's PG-13, I swear. So tell me anything you'd like someone to know about who you are.
My name is Shanterra McBride. Yes, I live in Dallas, Texas. I am the founder of Marvelous University, where we really inspire young people to be reminded that they were born to be marvelous. I sing, I write, I preach. I don't know, I love people, and I believe young people are not our future. I believe that they are the now.
You are a proud Black woman.
Yep.
And I am talking to people who have a far better idea and opinion on what not only everyone should do, but specifically people like me who believe that they are inclusive, open-minded, non-racist people, but probably who still need to do better. But how? It's sad that we have to turn around to our Black friends, not to give you another job. So, I grew up in DC. I'm going to say this and it's going to sound so fucked up. I have a lot of Black friends. I purport myself to be someone who is constantly trying to do better and dig deeper. And I would like to offer some positive outlooks on what could be happening now. And you have a lot of experience working with the youths, but we'll try to keep it Christian for you. And you're welcome, because that's hard for me.
I know. What I'm interested in is when white people say, what should I do? What are they specifically asking about? Like, are they asking about Black men and women being killed by police? What should they do? Are they asking about why does Black women still make less money than white people? What are they asking about gentrification? What exactly are they asking about? And that's the part I don't always know. The question is always, what can I do? About what?
I don't come from a slave-owning background. We're peasant Jews from the old country. A lot of my life, I grew up learning a lot about xenophobia and racism and genocide, all kinds of stuff that were purported against my peoples. But my peoples have a better brand or marketer or ad agency. I don't think I'm racist. And God, and if I was going to be funny, I would say things like, no, I'm not going to say that. Because I'm pretty sure sleeping with Black people does not make you necessarily not a racist.
Girl, because that's the deal. Truthfully, Zoe, that is what a lot of white women would say. I can't be racist.
That was the joke, though. That was not, I didn't mean that.
Of course, right? Because that is supposed to, who you choose to have sex with is supposed to cancel out any other privilege or thoughts about privilege.
Okay, so we should just say for the record that sleeping with Black men as a white woman does not mean you're not racist. Just because you're an equal opportunity hoe does not mean...
Absolutely not.
Got it. That's a very good place to start. Okay. For a liberal city person, where does racism live inside of me?
Anytime I am talking to anybody, whether it's high school students, college students, adults, one thing that America's school systems didn't do is educate American educated children on the truth about the foundation of America. And so when we talk about the foundation of America is built on stealing Africans from their continent and bringing them over here to the United States to build the country. And never was it intended for Black people to have freedom and to have rights. That was never ever in the mindset of those who stole Black people from the continent of Africa. And that was not taught in my classes. And I went to good schools. I went to private schools. I went to a great, good white university. It was never explained that way. It was just, oh, yes, there is people are slaves, but there is a whole month that talks about that, which is just jacked up because Black history is not about slavery. And so when you ignore the foundation of America, and when you ignore what privileges and rights came with that foundation, you have Black people, Black women making less money. You have certain neighborhoods where Black people were not allowed to live. And because they're in a certain area, they don't get the best books, best teachers, best stuff. So that's because of the foundation of America. It's not the fact that someone can say, well, I'm not racist. It's also not really identifying and owning the privilege that comes from racism. Whether you're racist or not, the racist people who built this country afforded you privileges that you benefit from. And that's the stuff that I think really people don't want to talk about because it's so difficult. My family didn't own slaves. Okay. You still benefit from slavery. And that's the part where it gets so frustrating because we really just want to sit in this place. Well, I didn't do it, but you benefit from it. And until we admit that you benefit from it, now ask me, what can you do? But first, it's just like America. America doesn't want to admit the original sin. You stole people. You stole human beings to build this country. They built 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Like you stole them. And because we want to just sweep that under the rug, like, yeah, that was really bad. But I mean, what can you do? What? That is truly how it's talked about. And that's what makes it so frustrating.
How frustrated are you right now? A scale of 1 to 10.
At this moment, just an 8. As a Black woman living in America, I really have to be careful how frustrated I get. I have to be careful how animated I get. I have to be careful how loud I get because I know from very early growing up, my job is to make sure white people are not uncomfortable because when white people are uncomfortable, my life is in jeopardy.
Fuck, that's crazy because I consider you to be very loud and very animated, and your entire job is to make white people uncomfortable. So what would you be like if you were not thinking about this? Holy shit. Like in your whole life growing up, you felt like you were in danger.
I knew that I was different. I knew that I could have been just as smart, just as bright, just as talented, and that my race was always going to be a part of the discussion. I remember in high school, my choir teacher saying to me, when she sees me, she doesn't see color. And I remember thinking, oh, well, that's nice. Like I truly, even growing up in Dallas, I didn't really have a lot of racist experiences. But the Dallas I grew up in, I went to majority white school. So when my choir teacher said this to me, I remember telling my mom, and my mom was like, what? That's not cool. And I couldn't understand it. And traveling the way that we did and going through small towns here in Texas, my mom helped me understand that if she said that she doesn't see color, when you all are traveling to these different places and stopping and going into stores, she will not look out for your safety because she doesn't see color, or so she says. And so that is putting my life in danger because of her lack of wanting to see me. And I would have never put that together if my mom hadn't said something. I think it's just a knowing of when white people are uncomfortable, I just need to make sure I'm good. The way that white people use their power and their privilege and the way that they are heard can be very different from the way that I'm heard.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. I talk about crazy stuff on the internet all the time, and this conversation, for sure, I am on high alert. I'm quite frankly nervous, but I've always been nervous when it comes to race about what I say, in a way that I'm not nervous about mostly anything, because it's scary to talk about this stuff as a white person. And I don't mean to make me sound like, oh, I'm poor me. It is a difficult thing to talk about at baseline because the opportunity to fuck up is so easy. And I not even mean to. But so when I saw a picture of Christian Cooper, and I was thinking to myself, like, this guy? This is the guy that you choke your dog to death for and call the police for? This, like, unbelievably beautiful, like, he looks like like a movie star. And I know how fucked up it is to say like it would make sense to call the cops on someone else, right? And that's where I realize, I guess, my racism is. I don't know. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. Why would you call the cops on the hot guy? Why aren't you just like flirting with him and asking him for his number or something?
Right. Well, that would be the stereotypes of who is dangerous in America and who are we supposed to fear. But Amy proved several things. One, that you don't have to have the quote unquote dangerous black man uniform on to be considered a threat. And the other part is that Christian Cooper, in Amy's mind, he did not have the right to tell her when she was wrong. And that's when Amy Cooper was like, you don't get to tell me that I'm wrong. I don't care what quote unquote uniform you have on. That is where I think people, white people especially, really need to understand the privilege of how you get to breathe and move and exist in this country. She was mad, all because he was reminding her that she wasn't following the rules. So not only was she mad, she tried to end his life because she knew exactly how she could weaponize his being by calling the police. She knew exactly what to say. I mean, so I'm so glad they got that on film. It was like a case study. This when I think about if I was going to give a handbook on how to be a white woman in America, page 78. Like that is just, oh my goodness. I'm so glad they got it on film. Because Amy Coopers have been around forever. When there's a 14-year-old in Mississippi and a white woman says, well, he whistled at me, he was lynched. You know what I mean? So it's like these kind of things that get to happen in America. And so when I talk to white women, especially about their privilege, white women are always believed. And that right there, moving through the world with that.
Okay, well, what do we say to Amy Cooper? Like, what if you could sit down and have a conversation that was hopefully constructive? What do we do with Amy Cooper and the Amy Coopers? How would a society even begin to unravel and repair the mindset of an Amy Cooper?
Yeah, because it is mindset. I'm so tired of social media giving the impression that if it's on social media, that means you are officially anti-racist. And at the end of the week, you're going to get a certificate in the mail. Because my thing is, you can post all you want, but if your heart hasn't changed, if your mind hasn't changed, miss me with the post. But I think with the Amy Coopers, I would really want to sit and just talk about the foundation of why did you know it would work? Where did you learn that? Because it's taught. I believe racism is taught. I believe hate is taught. It's taught. And she would say she's not a racist because she voted, I think word came out that, she voted Democrat and all that kind of stuff. But I would be more interested in where were you taught that what you did would work? Because that is where you get to the foundation, and that is where you start making change.
Why do you think we care now? This is what, the 4 millionth time that very obvious evidence has come out with egregious actions by police or like overt racism ending in like the merciless deaths of like beautiful, innocent Black people. What was it about this video that actually feels like for the first time people are not going to stop until there's change? But why? Why this video?
I've been racking my brain trying to figure it out. I think one, with the pandemic that people seem to have forgot that we are still in, but I think the pandemic, people are home more and people are on social media more. I think there is something about George Floyd following Breonna Taylor, following Ahmaud Arbery. So there were 3 weeks in a row where it was just like, what? Like all this stuff happening at once. So I think people have time to pay attention. I think people are starting to see Black people as human beings. And so I think with Ahmaud Arbery just jogging, minding his own business, and those two racist men went home and got a gun and came and chased him and killed him. And I think that being on video, I think that let people see, like, wait, I jog. I do, this is what I do, right? So it was this humanity thing that started happening. With Breonna Taylor, not enough people still know her story, and people are slowly learning that she was an EMT and sitting in her house and asleep, and then the police in Louisville, Kentucky just busted through her house with a no-knock warrant and ended up shooting up the place and shot her 8 times, and they have still not been held accountable for that. And by the way, they were at the wrong house. People are like, wait, because we were praying for our frontline healthcare workers and praying for them and showing up at parking lots at hospitals. And then lo and behold, frontline healthcare worker killed in her bed sleeping. So I think people are connecting these dots that they haven't really had time to connect them before. And with George Floyd, his people came out the gate with, before y'all try to defame him, before y'all try to say all this bad stuff, he was a gentle giant. Everybody loved him because they know America, and they know how America likes to villainize people after they are dead, especially Black people. And the way that they came out, like, let us tell the story first before people try to ruin him, and in some kind of way make it seem like he deserved to be brutally killed the way that he was. And so I think people started to see again the humanity around this. And I think I still haven't watched the video. I won't ever be able to watch the video. I did see the officer's face, and that face is stuck in my head. Not George Floyd, but that officer, Chauvin, his look of entitlement, his look of power, as he kept his knee on George Floyd's neck. When I think about, you waited to feel the life come out of that man. And then I think about the other officers, because we talk a lot about the bystander effect when you're talking to young people about in high school and middle school. And I'm like, these were grown men who stood and watched that man kill him and did nothing. And that, and I know people don't want to talk about the police, and every time somebody talk about the police, people love to say, but they're good cops. Okay, can you talk about the bad cops, though? Can we just sit there for a minute? Because I don't care how many good cops there are, the bad cops really suck. They're killing people. And then from my understanding, a 17-year-old girl is the one who recorded that. I think about her trauma. I think about seeing the officers do nothing and actually stop the crowd from intervening. Like, all of that. I think humanity is standing up. It's like, wait a second. That's not right. Honestly, Zoe, I thought America, because we claim to really care about children, I thought when Trayvon Martin, 14 years old, when he was killed, right, a teenager, I thought white mothers could rally around that and say, oh my God, my son wears a hoodie all the time. And I really, really thought that could change America. And then it didn't. Then I thought about Kamir Rice, 12 years old, playing in a park in Ohio, shot by a police officer. But the officer said, well, he looked older than 12. Why are you kidding? And I thought, okay, mothers, again, they're going to come out and they're going to say, my 12-year-old son has real guns and play guns, and, they deserve to play in the park. And da-da-da. I thought that would change America. And it's like, even Botham John here in Dallas, who was sitting in his apartment eating ice cream, killed by Amber Geiger, a police officer, because she mistakenly thought it was her house, even though her key didn't work. So just because I thought it was my house, then I saw you, then my life was immediately in danger. White women are believable. And so when you look at all the things that have come before George Floyd, you would think, oh, it would have changed by now. But it took a gentle giant. That's what it took. So I don't know. I think humanity has just decided to wake up. And I think young people have decided this has got to stop. So they're leading the charge.
The term Black Lives Matter is such a crazy term that I just can't believe that that's what we have to say. Like, what?
And people get so upset about it. I think it's not only crazy that we have to say it out loud as we are walking down the street. I think it's crazy that it has to even exist. But I think what's even crazier is how uncomfortable it makes people, especially white people. And again, I go back to the audacity that Amy Cooper lived in. Is like, how dare you think you need to separate your life from mine? How dare you do that? And when you're like, well, yeah, but y'all not being killed like we are, and I'm not even just talking about like being killed. I'm talking about systems that are designed to keep me from moving forward. Systems. So whether it's the education, whether it's housing, whether it's financial, systems are set up to keep me from moving forward. We are getting killed by police officers, a system that was designed to protect and serve. But Black people are remembering and realizing, but not me. The police, like if you've ever seen the documentary 13th, Ava DuVernay did amazing job of just explaining why the police systems were even in place, who were they really designed to protect, who was immediately deemed the villain from the very beginning. Like it's not an accident, but because we don't teach real history in our schools, we think Black Lives Matter. We think that people are just being militant and radical and being out of control. But we're addressing the history and the foundation of this country. We were never supposed to be free. Not ever. It was when you have documents of the foundation of this country that it had to be amended. So I mean, it's just we don't talk about that enough. I was never supposed to be free. Never. And the fact that not only am I free according to, some laws, but I choose to walk in my freedom. I am a revolution every day. You know what I mean? Like this is a radical act every single day, because I was not ever supposed to be free. The fact that I believe that I'm free and then I walk in that freedom. Yeah, some people got issues with that.
I've been thinking a lot about like, well, who do you get the most mad at as the beginners of this, right? As like the people who sort of brought this on and set up the idea that one person is better than or deserves less than another. And when I think about it, Christianity has not played such a wonderful role in this situation that we're in. And as you are a proud Christian and a practicing Christian, one who I think uses Christianity in the right way, how do you forgive Christianity for this or Jesus for this? Honestly, where the fuck was Jesus?
That is so good, because I just happened to be talking about this morning, because Trump is in Dallas today meeting with some evangelicals, not the Black chief of police and not the Black mayor and not the Black sheriff of Dallas. And one of my friends goes to one of the churches where her pastor is one of the ones meeting with him. White guy, conservatives. And for my friend, it is like, hold up. What? And my friend is Black, and I'm like, your pastor this is who he is. Where you been? You grew up during the civil rights movement. So what? But then I thought about this. I wonder if those evangelical leaders like Billy Graham and Jimmy Swaggart or even Jerry Falwell, like big prominent evangelicals that were really just about preaching that everybody needs to accept Jesus as their savior, and thought that the cross was going to be enough. They thought if we just do these big revivals, that there was no need to address race because we were talking about Jesus, who was not a white man. Like, so you basically use the cross in a cowardly way to not talk about liberation in Christ. You had a huge opportunity, but instead you were cowards and hid behind the cross.
So you can be a Christian and feel like your God and your religion are not hypocritical and not one of the ways that people are kept apart and learn to hate each other.
I can, mainly because I choose to do the work. I choose to not just believe what has been taught to me.
It would be a real miracle if Jesus was white.
If you look at a map and you look at where things take place and you look and know that white people were not there, you just, at some point, you can't believe the pictures on the wall.
God forbid if they were white. There was no sunblock then. Jesus would be dead in 3 days from the sun, let alone a fucking crucifix.
Right. So I think for me, it's such a personal relationship. It's not based on what somebody else told me. It's based on my relationship with Jesus, but then also what I can read and find out for myself.
What is an appropriate way that I can use social media to help these, like, what is actually, the black squares are ridiculous. Anytime I see anybody who did that black square, I'm like, oh, now, thank you for demarcating that you're actually just dumb and lazy. Thank you. Is it spreading information of how to donate money and where rallies are? Like, what is an appropriate way to use your voice with the technology that we have?
That's a good question. I think authentic allyship means being committed to this after the cameras stop talking about it. I don't need people to have a posting strategy for social media, but there are so many ways to come up with plans to do something, because the media will stop talking about it. The protests will stop. It'll go away. And so I think using your platform to keep it in the queue, if you will, I think it also means educating yourself. It could be from anything, a book, a movie, a television show. And this is the best part. Your black friends don't even need to know about it.
I don't have to call you every time I do something good?
Absolutely not. Please don't. And I think that's what people are feeling. So that's when I'm reminded of my lack of privilege. Because I think, well, wait, do I have to pat you on the back now?
Yes, I want a gold star.
Right. Because if I don't, I take the risk of, wait, you're thinking that you didn't do a good thing, and so you may not do it again, or you think I'm mad at you, or like all these things go through my mind.
I just think it's really weird, these like very obvious redundant statements. Is this good or bad? I do not stand for systematic racism, and I'm going to do everything I can to be less racist. Is that a helpful thing to post?
I think it's helpful for their friends and for their family. I think it's helpful for the people they do business with. And some people are really uncomfortable by these statements that people are making. But I'm just like, congratulations. Okay. You know, I'm not having a movement of like, oh, yay, we are finally I'm not there. Because I'm just like, about time.
What then can I do more of action steps besides continuing the conversation when the media dies down and the protests die down? Where are the places I can donate money? What are the books I can read? Where do we go from here?
So this is where I would say Google is everybody's friend. What gets annoying is when people who have access, who have privilege, and then they still want someone like me to tell them what to do. But this is every single time. And it's not just you, Zoe. I can have a wonderful conversation with someone, a white woman, and we've had a great talk. And then we end it with, and she's like, okay, what can I be doing? As if we just didn't talk for an hour. And I get it. I get people want to know the action. And this is where I say, go to Google. There are plenty of anti-racism resources. I will even send you one and you can put it in your notes that has books. It has places to donate. It has videos. Somebody has put this together and they have provided if you have children, if you have children of this age, like it is a major tool that I've been sending out. When people ask me on Facebook, I copy and paste. Here's this wonderful resource that I found.
So one of the most helpful thing I could do as a liberal non-thinking that I am racist person is not ask my black friends what to do the work myself. Oh my God, I'm doing what white people have been doing forever. I'm outsourcing my work to the black community. Shit. Got it.
Again, when I think of Foundation of America, and this is where I connect the dots, especially for my white friends who I know are well-meaning. When you think of the Foundation of America, when you think of enslaved people who had to cook for white people, who had to clean for white people, who had to nurse their white children, who had to take care of their garden, take care of their home. When you think of all of that they had to do for their white masters, it's not too far from the connect. Like, I see that something is wrong, so can you just tell me what to do?
It's crazy that a mother would let her kid drink the milk of a person and not think of them as a person.
Hello, none of it I don't care how they try to justify it. I don't care what they try to say. Mentally, something wasn't right.
Do you feel hopeful?
Oh, gosh, yes. Oh, my goodness. Yes. Oh, man. I am very hopeful. I have wonderful conversations with people every single day. Not just young people, but adults. I'm talking to so many people who genuinely, truly are like, oh, my land. And I get hopeful about that because I know that, for lack of a better word, I know that I have influence in some kind of way, and that I just, even by talking to people when they're uncomfortable and saying, hey, it's okay. Because I don't blame you. I blame, one, our education, blame how this stuff was passed down. So now that you know better, though, you got to do better. Should
we get rid of police?
Girl, defund the police is not getting rid of police.
I would love that. I fucking hate the police. And I understand I say that from a place of privilege. I got arrested at the park. It was a federal park. I was letting my dog off the leash, and I was sitting in my car, and the police came up behind me, and they told me to get out of the car. And I yelled at them, and because they were park police. I thought they were like mall cops. Turns out they're federal police. Who knew? And they were like, get out of the car. And I was like, yo, coppers, go the fuck home, man. Like, leave me alone. It's like Sunday afternoon. Do better with your time. They fucking pulled me out of the car, put me on the ground. And I remember distinctly saying to the guy, who was very short, who was something like, as he was like manhandling me on the fucking dirt ground, I was like, oh, I get it. Like, you were short in high school and girls like me wouldn't fuck you. Oh, I see. Like, you're mad at me because like you never got laid in high school. Literally, I said this to this fucking park police guy. He fucked me up, but I didn't go to jail. They did arrest me. And I think I even said to them something like, and this is not true, Shanterra. And you know it's not true. I said something like, you don't know who my father is. I'm going to take you all day. Like, you have no idea who my dad is. I want your fucking police now. Give me all your, they fucking arrested my ass anyway. And I was thinking about that a lot.
But Zoe, that's okay. So that's what I'm talking about. Like, right with Amy Cooper, though. But how did you know to do it?
It's just the first fucking thing that came to my head.
Somewhere along the way, along your journey, you have learned, whether you saw it, somebody told you, you have learned that certain words have power. But somewhere knowing that could work.
Yeah, it did. Well, it didn't work. They still arrested me. But that's how I was just really I've been thinking a lot about all the times I've been arrested and all the shit I've talked to police. And the shit I've talked to police at protests, like I once walked up to a cop in Vegas and asked him if he knew where to get coke for fun.
And you live to tell about it. But that is also why, especially for parents whose kids go to schools, nice schools, affluent schools with majority white kids, Black parents have to have the conversation. You do know that you can't do what your friend does. And then I even tell white parents, you need to tell your white children, your white teenagers, if they start acting a nut around police officers and, a Black kid is with them, you need to fall back because it is not going to go well for the Black kid. Black kids will say, hey, don't do that, don't, sir. They know, because they know the script. They've been taught very early how to operate around police, what to say to police if you get pulled over. They've had that talk. And so what I've been really encouraging white parents, but having the talk with white boys of what it means. Because when white boys hear, oh, the talk, they think birds and the bees. That's the first thing that comes in their mind. They don't think, oh, when I'm acting crazy or acting a nut or whatever with the police, that my Black friend may actually be in danger. Like it does not cross their minds. And that is dangerous.
What does this mean, defund the police?
It means to stop treating Black people, and specifically Black communities, like war areas. And so when you think about Black communities are more policed than white communities. White communities are protected. Black communities, they are looking for crime. And so when you think about defunding the police, it's actually putting more money into social services, or putting more money into trainings or mental health, like putting more money into that stuff instead of new equipment that you will use in war. And that, to me, that is better. However, I will say, when I think about Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman was on Neighborhood Watch. And he took his little position to a whole nother level and ended up killing a 14-year-old young boy. And so I hear that, but if people are not trained, and I don't mean just on how to load a weapon, I mean on community, I mean on relationships, I mean on racism, I mean on finding their blind spots, I mean all of that, we're going to have another George Zimmerman.
Why aren't we talking more about guns, though, with this conversation? Keep the fucking police, get them better training, get rid of the racist ones, and who knows how we do that.
America. Ugh. And the Second Amendment. I mean, again, if guns didn't get rid after Sandy Hook, that really should have spoke to America. It's power and it's money.
Can't we get the police like some other kind of weapon, like that could stop somebody, but that doesn't kill them?
Listen, police also can have the same gun and will not kill a white man. Dylan Roof walked out of Mother Emanuel's church in South Carolina after killing 9 people. George Floyd lost his life on the street. When you think of the Tim McVeigh, I think he was the Oklahoma bomber, like walked out, and police had guns and all of that.
They have it. You're right. It's not the problem's not the gun. It's the whether or not they use the gun is the problem. But still, wouldn't that help a lot though if we don't give them the option to use the gun?
The racism still behind it is there. And so how you can see someone and your bias actually kicks in, like, I could kill them or I could just shoot them.
What would be things that could happen after these protests and after the senseless deaths that would make you feel like the Black community has been heard and the white community is on a path to actually change?
Solidarity and not charity versus just making a donation but still not doing the hard stuff. Not having, so it will make me happy to see solidarity and not just charity.
It would make me happy if all these fucking redneck racist senators could be voted out this election cycle.
That would be amazing. But I look at people who are elected and I think, well, somebody voted for them.
Hell you talking about? Say our names. Michael Brown, Freddie Gray, Tommy Rice. I'm enraged. Fight for freedom. I'm still enslaved. Now what's the meaning? The end of days. Where's the leaders in need of change? Like Brother Malcolm, I am not afraid. They want us dead, beaten, bleeding, caged. I lay it bare. It's not a pain. They couldn't inflict that could end the claim for equal rights, life, freedom, blame. A fighting spirit, it's a DNA. For those who lost to this insane system, fixing, seeing us as prey. Brother, sister, you are not a vain. The hell they talking about? Say our names. Say our names.
Thank you, Shanterra. You are such a wonderful voice of reason and a much needed kick in my white tuchus. I very much appreciate it. I really look forward to the conversations and actions that are going to be taken by people like me and by people who are not like me. I think while there's a lot more work to be done, that the gateways and channels are opening and that empathy and compassion is on the rise. All of us collectively are taking our heads out of our tuxes, at least more than we were. I am on my way to a bike protest in Prospect Park today, where thousands and really it seems like millions of people get together and bike around the city, and the protests are still on. Don't think that this is over. And while it may die down a bit, and while it might fade from people's social media feeds, I am committed to continuing this conversation. I'm committed to hearing as many voices as I can, and I'm committed to seeing all the different ways in which I am not doing my part and educating myself. And I am super committed to not asking my Black friends anymore about what I should be doing, but learning myself. So wherever you are, I hope the flames of change are being stoked inside of you. I am putting the link that Shanterra gave me in the notes of this episode, where you can check out all different ways in which you too can educate yourself and others. Stay vigilant, stay educated. Elections are coming up. Don't take Georgia as a sign that you're not going to be able to vote. Get an absentee ballot. Figure out your voting plans. This is the way, and this is the time that we can do things quickly. It does not address the systems that have been set up by other politicians, both Democratic and Republican. This is not the fault of one. This is the fault of our entire political system, our entire capitalistic system. There are so many different sweater threads that we have to pull to undo this motherfucker. The quickest way we can do it is getting that disgusting, tiny-dicked, orange-hued monster man out of office. And I, for one, think we can do it. And I can't believe it's so hard. Why the fuck is it still so hard to get this psychopath out of the office? Whatever, not the point. The point is change is going to come, whether people want it to or not. I don't think this time that the evils that be are going to be able to silence the light and the good that persists in this world, and the overflowing joy and love that will persist and will overcome. So wherever you are, I send you a huge hug. I remind you to put on your walking shoes and get out your megaphones. You can borrow one of mine. I have like 17. And make your voice be heard. The time is now. There's no time to wait. And it's beautiful outside. There's no fucking excuse in the world. Have a wonderful night, everyone.